time, anytime. I needed you. I know. Have you been conflicted? Say more. Well, my video essay is about the dark side of chasing external validation, and I'm really passionate about this topic because I feel like I've always struggled with regulating my self-esteem, and on the other hand, I am aware that posting this video on YouTube might just be against the moral of my essay because I'm talking about the problem of chasing external validation whilst kind of feeding it by chasing external validation in some sense. So I'm not sure how to resolve these two conflicting intentions. Well, can both intentions be valid and exist at the same time? Can I read to you what I wrote about? Tell me what you wrote about. Layer 1. The objective self. I find myself conscious in a materialistic world. I am the product of the universe, of evolution. I don't get to choose the circumstances I was born in, how I was made, or the rules of the game. I play on because my parents welcomed me to this game without my consent. So here I am, staying alive as long as possible, while I figure out what to do with my life. Because if I'm dead, nothing matters. My brain tracks my competence and social status relative to the social status hierarchy. I'm also programmed to need a mate, to which the selection criteria is also pre-programmed. Females are attracted to physical dominance and availability of resources, which signifies an increased likelihood of successful investment in her and her offspring. I, as a male, am attracted to beauty and youth because symmetry signifies good healthy genes and potential reproductive success. Without asking why these things are the way they are and why they exist, why we have the desire to live and the fear of death, we simply acknowledge that these are the rules. And this is why society values success, status, fame, wealth, beauty, even traditional gender roles. They're all rooted in the objective sphere. If there was abundance, if the genetic lottery were fair, if we were immortal and immune from sickness, poverty, and war, there are no ifs. It is what it is and always will be. Although it doesn't tell us what we ought to do, we must acknowledge it because our life literally depends on it. My subjective well-being, thus, cannot be untied with my objective fitness score. Like I'm worried I'm disguising my need for attention in the name of authenticity, like by acting that way and exploiting it. And I think people could tell and see through it. Like, I hate people that are desperate for attention, so I definitely don't want to see myself committing the same crime. You're worried that others might think that about you. You're very self-aware and aware of what others think. Like, I know self-awareness is supposed to be a good thing, like self-reflection as a virtue, but in this case, I'm just narrating my paralysis with better vocabulary. I'm just aware that I am aware and not addressing the problem or changing. Like, it's just a loop of thought. I notice you're using very particular vocabulary to describe yourself. Are you aware that you are being very critical of yourself? I guess I was just reflecting. Layer 2. The social self. I learned my value in this world through relationships. The quality of the relationship with my parents largely determines how I will view myself in the world. Unconditional love would form a secure attachment, healthy schemas of identity and self-worth. The premise of unconditional love is as follows. I possess infinite and unconditional worth as a human being. We are all equal and cannot be compared, for worth is neither objective nor quantifiable. My intrinsic worth does not change even if the whole world rejects it. Extrinsic qualities neither add to nor diminish it. I cannot earn worth, so I cannot deserve it more or less. It is always something to be recognized, accepted, and appreciated. I am loved because of who I am, not what I do. It is from this overflowing cup of emotional availability and secure base do I find the confidence to explore and the self-belief to face the uncertainties of the world with an unbreakable mindset. That no matter what happens, my worth as a human being cannot fail, no matter my external failure or personal achievement. This is the base from which I learned to value myself and attach to others, mirroring how I was valued. The only luxury a parent can truly give a child is an internal sense of identity to which the world cannot penetrate. How tragic would it be if you were to spend your whole life with someone you don't like? You. My grandparents survived against poverty, war, and raised my parents, who also faced that for a substantial part of their lives. My parents were never loved unconditionally, and they worked very hard so that I can have a relatively comfortable life. Yet the residue of this generational trauma is passed on surely as genetics are. The fears, insecurities, societal expectations, and psychological byproducts of the survival game are projected onto me and into me. This is done in the name of education, for the good of me, of course, because society doesn't care about you, it's ugly, and we must prepare you for it. People are realistic, true love doesn't exist. Through reinforcing praise and punishment, I learned that love is a trade of my internal self for a conditional acceptance of my external self, a currency of cause and effect. If I'm not loved, that means I must not have done enough to deserve it. So who do I have to be loved? Since I have been dependent on my parents for almost 2 decades, to survive in the family is to learn and internalize their conditions of acceptance. My mask of performance becomes indistinguishable from my true self. I master suppressing my needs, not before thinking about their needs, lest I step on the boundary of filial piety and get guilt-tripped for not appreciating this privileged life. What is supposed to be a gift of compassion turning into self-compassion is now a curse of a tyrant living rent-free inside of me, beating myself before I have the chance to get beaten by anyone else. Because if I hate myself enough, and I resent myself more than anyone else, and change every aspect deemed unlovable to the world, maybe then I will be good enough. I resent them for not loving me. I resent myself more for depending on needing their love. And I resent the most that I will always have hope in them to change, but I know I will always get hurt trying. This is learned helplessness. I strive to be loved. If that fails, I want to be admired. If that fails, I want to be feared. If that fails, I want to be hated, for it is better to be hated than ignored, to be someone than no one. I will do anything to express my existence. I am not motivated by the joy of winning or even the fear of losing, but the fear of being a loser and a failure. It is an internal identity that no amount of external validation will ever change if I firmly believe that. I am not just who I think I am. I am not just who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am. Well, it feels like there's something you need from others, but you fear that you will be dependent on that. Hit the spot. I mean, I'm passionate about making these videos for myself. Like, I enjoy the process, but at the same time, like, of course I want to share it with others. Otherwise, it would almost feel like a waste. What would it mean to you if it did? Well, I want the videos to have a positive impact and help someone maybe. How would you know if it had an impact on others? Well, I guess that depends if others give me feedback, which is rarely the case, so that's true. I wouldn't know. If others give a shit, I can only imagine it. So you are both internally and externally, intrinsically and extrinsically motivated. Yes, indeed. The pleasure of pursuit, fighting against the pursuit of pleasure. Layer 3. The incongruent self. I was influenced by my father with narcissism to chase greatness. Hell, even my Chinese name is named after his desire for me to be great and intelligent. But I've always challenged his notion of greatness. All he wanted was my name and the lights, to be great at what doesn't matter, as long as I am great and better than everyone else, because he feels he needed to be. Sacrificing everything leading to burnout and imbalance is not a dark side. It is just the cost, and the bar for excellence has never been this low. Alex Hormozi, David Goggins. This is why all my goals I have set in my life and the process to which I beat myself in pursuit of those ambitions are masqueraded as self-improvement. My dream has been a mountain, and the mountain is me. It's my own extraordinariness, and carrying the weight of this load is unbearable. Those who sacrifice relationships and mental health for the sake of their own greatness are not the ones who are great, but the ones who feel the biggest need to be. They have sacrificed the thing they wanted for the thing that is supposed to get it. My true goal was love, and everything I did are means to acquire it. I worship discipline because I've seen how hedonic desires made myself degenerate into a loser, and I'm running as far away as I can from it. Working becomes automatic. Because of this imbalance, my inner child rebels against this sergeant and shifts from overworking to overcompensation, a civil war where different parts of me fight against each other. But still, I will always need to be loved. If I never find it in my family, I will look somewhere else, from my peers, from women. I will gladly settle for the next best thing, conditional love. And its script writes, if I achieve X, I will deserve Y. X can be physical attractiveness and status. Y is love, respect, belonging, self-worth. So I chase goals. I glow up. I work on myself. I show it to the world through social media. And the impressions I get, however meager, feels indistinguishable from real love for a second. But I know I've betrayed myself. I sacrificed being respectable for being respected. And I know I've broken my boundaries to drink from the river of seawater. Like any drug, it leaves me crashing and wanting for more just to feel above baseline. So I return to my drug dealer, who is the prostitute of lady praise, who seduced me into bed under false promises, only for me to wake up feeling worse and less of myself. I didn't want to hear that the person I've been chasing is actually kind of a slut, because that would make me a slut, a prostitute of my soul. The alternative is loneliness, the fear that drove me into this vicious cycle in the first place. Of course I wish to have secure attachment that is stable and predictable, but I wouldn't know what it was even if I had it. My nervous system is physically calibrated to insecurity and unpredictability. My body literally interprets signals of anxiety when seeing a beautiful girl as attraction, lighting up my motivational systems to cling onto it as if it would save my life, as if it were everything I was looking for, as if it would complete me and make me a better version of myself. Just to crash, as my fantasy gets slowly burned by reality, as it's nothing more than my own projections. My expectations and idealizations of love is the love that I learned. It has no boundaries. I sacrifice myself as I did for the family. There is no individual identity, only an enmeshed blend of it. The irony of love is that no matter how hard I try to earn it, I cannot make someone fall in love with me. Everyone wants a partner, but everyone wants to be chosen. The double irony is when someone finally offers me secure love, it feels too good to be true. Almost like a scam. Like there's no way you're gonna love me just because. There's gotta be some persona, some personality trait or character strength that makes me stand out. Otherwise, why did you choose me and not others? There must be something special for you to love me, some value you see that others don't. Right? But whom I choose and the love I accept speaks volumes about how much I value myself. Once I get chosen, I come to the painful realization of the shadow I was avoiding, that is the enemy within me. Choosing to love myself is much harder than getting others to love me. Thus, I make my partner carry the load of regulating my emotions and self-esteem. I need them to reassure they will not leave. But that very defensive nature makes me push them away before they have a chance to hurt me. Simultaneously, I hate that I have to depend on them because I am desperately in need of them. Sooner, they get tired of carrying the love I cannot carry for myself. The mask was never to convince others to like me, but to convince myself that I am lovable. The philosophy is the grapes are sour because I can't have it. If I can't be a part of the group, I will differentiate myself as much as possible, just to not be average. I want to be him, the GOAT, so good that you cannot ignore me, as vengeance of my jealousy, because I don't know how to love myself if I was ordinary. Deep down, I know my courage to share things publicly is really just the pain of not being seen, shouting louder than the fear of being judged. My shield of choice is intellectualization. I thought if I looked in my past, wrote an autobiography, and analyzed every aspect using integral theory, levels of consciousness, gaining so much self-knowledge and self-awareness that I would solve my life's problem. But life is not a problem to be solved. The famous quote, "The unexamined life is not worth living," has it backwards. The unlived life is not worth examining. The reason I look so hard within myself is because I am still finding a reason to stop looking. Narcissism develops when one's identity is completely dependent on what others think of them. The world becomes a mirror which reflects their identity back to them. The subject becomes an object to itself, a set of personality test results. We need to form a relationship with the world. Our social identity and personal identity are codependent. But if our social identity overshadows everything and becomes our whole world, we become coordinates without a graph and lose our sense of direction. Our worldview collapses as the self becomes the center of the universe. And ironically, the most egotistic people are the ones that accept themselves the least. They are chameleons that cannot survive without being slaves to chasing mirrors just to regulate their self-esteem. And how tragic it is to live with a person that you don't like. You. Allow me to summarize, and let me see if I got this correct. So first of all, I want you to know that your needs are authentic. Whether or not it's right or wrong doesn't matter. They're real, they're valid, and I want you to know that. You're driven by different needs, intrinsic, extrinsic, and your concern is that your strategies to achieve these needs are conflicting with your values. You value authenticity, that is why you want to make this video in the first place, which is also why you are hyper aware of the fact that what you're doing might be against your values. You are also very self-aware that you are presenting an image of authenticity and self-reflectiveness in order to gain external validation, which feels incongruent. That is why you are internally struggling and suffering from this. Pretty much sums it up. I just really hate this part of myself that needs from people. I wish I could just be myself and not need anything from anyone. Does needing something from others necessarily make you inauthentic? Can we be truly authentic all the time? And do we need to sacrifice our other needs to be truly authentic? How do we even measure it? And is it truly authentic if we don't accept parts of ourselves that doesn't fit within this perfect definition? I guess you have a point. So how do I fix this? How do I accept the parts that I don't want to accept? Layer 4, the loving self. So I ask myself, can I live my life without an audience? Can I get to know myself and not share it with the world? I do want who I think I am to matter more than who others think I am, but I can't do that alone. Self-love is a lie and an illusion of the defensive to further isolate because they were hurt. We will always need and codepend on each other. We are not using others as mirrors for the external self. We need others to teach us how to love ourselves, but we need to integrate that love for ourselves. I have resisted, and I will keep on resisting. But I will give my brain time for neuroplasticity and relearn the scripts and unlearn my learned helplessness. When my real self and my ideal self draw close enough to stop the war, I will see that my worth was never missing, only obscured by illusions. We are all inferior in the eyes of nature. That doesn't mean we must identify as such. We will always be on an infinite developmental trajectory, precisely because it's infinite. Going faster or slower is cosmically irrelevant. Our insecurities, our pain, our fears, our rejections are one of the most powerful drives we have. It is the dirty fuel we needed to whip ourselves into our resume. But that fuel is a drug. It's toxic. Gold medal syndrome is a treadmill cranking faster until we burn out. Once we have secured our internal worth, we will be operating with a new source of fuel, more powerful than pain, more sustainable than willpower. Since we all end with death, no matter how successful we are, and nobody will remember us, I want me to remember myself, not through proofs of my existence, but remember that I don't need to be anything else. There's nothing wrong with me. It's not my fault that I was born this way. Then, when I have unshackled that dead weight I've been carrying my whole life, I will work from curiosity, playing, and enjoying the process, coming out from a journey within to a journey outside. Then, the graph of the world will come back, and my coordinates will make sense. My identity will have a sense of purpose. Our generation does not face the threats of material security. Our generation is not at risk of being unambitious. We are at risk of narcissism stemming from thwarted belongingness, and we are at risk at suicide. But there's hope. Since the objective external gave us these hand of cards, there is no basis in reality for praise or blame, and thereby the whole world is innocent. Contrary to a top-down narrative being a risk factor, the protective factor is also found in our relationship with the world. Ask yourself this question: what would you want to exist in this world even if you didn't exist? I need to be a vehicle of something bigger than myself. Then I may finally escape from needing love, because I will be giving it to myself through giving it to others without expectations of return. Christianity gave us this worldview: unconditional love from a father figure who forgives our sins and sees value in us. But without the conditions of Christian faith, the redeeming factor lies within all of us. So this is precisely the cycle we're trapped in. Like when I say you don't have to change, the automatic thought comes up, that's wrong. How can that be good? It's like we have to be conscious of the programs and scripts that you learned long ago. Like you're running on a treadmill without even realizing it. That's why you feel the resistance of this idea. Like when I say the only way you can change is by not changing. That just doesn't make sense. It feels so abstract, but that's the only way out of this cycle, because this cycle is conditional and this one is unconditional. To actually change in a natural, authentic, congruent way, you don't have to change from an incongruent way of proving that you have to improve. You will naturally develop and improve, but it's based on acceptance. And that is the script that we must rewrite, the new strategies that we can reconstructure to meet our needs. But we're not doing any of that to fix anything. We are simply, in this present moment, being perfect. Like you cannot change. Like, do you understand the concept? You could never change because you are you. You are real as of right now. And this ideal self does not exist. And so I want you to not do anything. And that is the first step of actually doing something. And it's uncomfortable, it's unfamiliar. and it's running against the way we do things, but it's like a fish swimming up a waterfall that feels like it's gonna fall and die if it stops swimming. If you fall, then just, you don't have to swim anymore. Like, you'll be free in the pond. Well, I'm sitting with it now.
Unprejudiced objectivity. This sounds almost like a scientific precept, and it could be confused with a purely intellectual, abstract attitude of mind. But what I mean is something quite different. It is a human quality, a kind of deep respect for the facts, for the man who suffers from them, and for the riddle of such a man's life. We cannot change anything unless we accept it. I am the oppressor of the person I condemn, not his friend and fellow sufferer. I do not in the least mean to say that we must never pass judgment when we desire to help and improve. But if the doctor wishes to help a human being, he must be able to accept him as he is. And he can do this in reality only when he has already seen and accepted himself as he is. And so acceptance of oneself is the essence of the moral problem, and the acid test of one's whole outlook on life. That I feed the beggar, that I forgive an insult, that I love my enemy in the name of Christ, all these are undoubtedly great virtues. But what if I should discover that the least amongst them all, the poorest of all beggars, the most impudent of all offenders, yea, the very fiend himself, that these are within me, and that I myself stand in need of the alms of my own kindness, that I myself am the enemy who must be loved, what then? Then, as a rule, the whole truth of Christianity is reversed. There is then no more talk of love and long-suffering. We say to the brother within us, Raka, and condemn and rage against ourselves. We hide him from the world. We deny ever having met this least among the lowly in ourselves, and had it been God himself who drew near to us in this despicable form, we should have denied him 1,000 times before a single cock had crowed. This is why modern man has heard enough about guilt and sin. He is sorely beset by his own bad conscience, and wants rather to know how he is to reconcile himself with his own nature, how he is to love the enemy in his own heart, and call the wolf his brother. The modern man does not want to know in what way he can imitate Christ, but in what way he can live his own individual life, however meager and uninteresting it may be. He may not know it, but he behaves as if his own individual life were God's special will which must be fulfilled at all costs. This is the source of his egoism, which is one of the most tangible evils of the neurotic state. But the person who tells him he is too egoistic has already lost his confidence, and rightly so, for that person has driven him still further into his neurosis. If I wish to effect a cure for my patients, I am forced to acknowledge the deep significance of their egoism. I should be blind indeed if I did not recognize it as a true will of God. I must even help the patient to prevail in his egoism. If he succeeds in this, he estranges himself from other people. He drives them away, and they come to themselves as they should, for they were seeking to rob him of his sacred egoism. This must be left to him, for it is his strongest and healthiest power. It is, as I have said, a true will of God, which sometimes drives him into complete isolation. For in this way alone can he get to know himself and learn what an invaluable treasure is the love of his fellow beings. It is, moreover, only in the state of complete abandonment and loneliness that we experience the helpful powers of our own natures. When one has several times seen this development at work, one can no longer deny that what was evil has turned to good, and that what seemed good has kept alive the forces of evil. The archdemon of egoism leads us along the royal road to that ingathering which religious experience demands. What we observe here is a fundamental law of life, enantiodromia, or conversion into the opposite. And it is this that makes possible the reunion of the warring halves of the personality, and thereby brings the civil war to an end.
The courage of being hated is courage to to look within myself at the most unlovable parts and say, don't worry, I love you, no matter what, because of you, and you may rest. All time, anytime. Thank you. No, thank you. I'm always with you. That.
I was not expecting this at all. And lastly, I can't downplay the significance of this award because it means the most to me. And I know we're in a subjective business, but the truth is, I'm really in pursuit of greatness. I know people don't usually talk like that, but I want to be one of the greats. I'm inspired by the greats. I'm inspired by the greats here tonight. I'm as inspired by Daniel Day-Lewis, Marlon Brando, and Viola Davis as I am by Michael Jordan and Michael Phelps, and I want to be up there. So I'm deeply grateful to that. This doesn't signify that, but it's a little more fuel, it's a little more ammo to keep going. Thank you so much.
I have one central person that I was trying to prove for a very long time, which was my father. After I left, he disapproved of my whole thing, and for 5 years we didn't talk very much. And so he calls me up. He says, hey, you're gonna want to sit down for this. And I'm like, okay, what? He says, I'm sorry. And I was like, for what? And he was like, for everything. Now, mind you, this is a Middle Eastern father, born in a very different world. Fathers don't apologize to sons. It just wasn't that way. I said, I didn't care about your opinion 5 years ago when I left, and I don't care now. And he was like, well, we'll see how long your success lasts. The main point there was that in the beginning, like, make as much as my father, then it was make more than my father, and then it was make more than my father had ever made in his entire life. And once I had achieved that, I realized that I was trying to beat him at his game. The man who actually raised me, who tried to make me the best man I can. When I really start thinking about it, I'm like, I like who I am. He raised me. So doesn't that mean that he might have been the perfect father? And then that really messes with me.
It's hard to think that the people you used to have contempt for or hatred shaped you in a way that you couldn't have been. I often think about how the things I'm most proud of in myself are the light side of something that I was so embarrassed about.
I don't even feel in some ways that I am driven. I do this because I don't know what else to do. It's like, this is the only thing I'm good at.
Yeah.
When I was 20, I got obsessed with positive psychology. I had a trunk of books, and every single one of them was self-help, things like this, early on, before I had a business, any of that stuff. And I got to a point where I realized I had read all the books and my life hadn't changed.
Yeah.
And it felt very hopeless for me because my subjective well-being was the same. And so I came up with a mantra for myself, which you might laugh at, which was fuck happiness. Because I felt so rejected by the notion, because I felt so unattainable for me. And so what I replaced it with was, I will be useful. It's like, well, you know, I might not enjoy this whole ride, but like, everyone else can get stuff out of it. And so that's the struggle that I have, because like, I'm okay with that.
You're okay with it, but you're torn by it, my friend.
Yes. No, agreed.
That's
agreed.
pretty obvious, right?
I will accept that.
I had to invent a guy that didn't exist. I had to invent a guy that can take any pain, any suffering, any kind of judgment, be called whatever the fuck in the world, and be able to stand in the fucking room and say, go fuck yourself. I had to build this callous mind, and I built it through suffering. I built it through downright fucking just crushing myself. If it was raining outside at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning, if it was snowing, the first instinct is don't go out there and do shit. My instinct was, we gotta fucking go out there. Anything that was fucking horrible in my life that I would normally say no, that was inhumane to most people, I had to go do it.
All right, I gotta tell you something, Rachel. All right, it's not intended to be mean. I have a purpose. You don't. And if you think that's some sort of blessing, it's not. It puts me at a huge life disadvantage. It means I have an obligation to see a very specific thing through. And with that obligation comes sacrifice, okay? My life is the product of all the choices I've had to make. Your life is the product of, I don't even know what your life is the product of. You're just making it up as you go along. That's the kind of person you are. That's not the kind of person I am, okay? You're responsible for the shitty decisions you made. I never told you to get married, not once. Get that out of your mind. I will not settle down right now, okay?
I was there to push people beyond what's expected of them. I believe that is an absolute necessity. Otherwise, we're depriving the world of the next Louis Armstrong, the next Charlie Parker. Practices, and he practices with one goal in mind, never to be laughed at again. And a year later, he goes back to the Reno, and he steps up on that stage and he plays the best motherfucking solo the world has ever heard. So imagine if Jones had just said, well, that's okay, Charlie. That was all right. Good job. When Charlie thinks to himself, well, shit, I did do a pretty good job. End of story. That to me is an absolute tragedy. But that's just what the world wants now. There are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job.
But is there a line? You know, maybe you go too far and you discourage the next Charlie Parker from ever becoming Charlie Parker?
No, man, no. Because the next Charlie Parker would never be discouraged.
Yeah.
I actually fucking tried. And that's more than most people ever do. And I will never apologize for how I tried.
Well, I don't think that we should be together. And I've thought about it a lot, and this is what's gonna happen. Okay, I'm gonna keep pursuing what I'm pursuing. And because I'm doing that, it's gonna take up more and more of my time, and I'm not gonna be able to spend as much time with you. And even when I do spend time with you, I'm gonna be thinking about drumming. I'm gonna be thinking about jazz music and my charts and all that. And because of that, you're gonna start to resent me. And you're gonna tell me to ease up on the drumming, spend more time with you because you're not feeling important. And I'm not gonna be able to do that. And really, I'm just gonna start to resent you for even asking me to stop drumming. And we're just gonna start to hate each other. And it's gonna be ugly. And so for those reasons, I'd rather just, break it off clean. Because I wanna be great.
And you're not.
I wanna be one of the greats.
Because I'm just some girl who doesn't know what she wants, and you have a path, and you're going to be great, and I'm going to be forgotten, and therefore you won't be able to give me the time of day because you have bigger things to pursue.
That's exactly my point.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Charlie Parker didn't know anybody until Joe Jonas threw a cymbal at his head.
So that's your idea of success, huh?
I think being the greatest musician of the 20th century is anybody's idea of success.
Dying broke and drunk and full of heroin at the age of 34 is not exactly my idea of success.
I'd rather die drunk, broke at 34 and have people at a dinner table talk about me than live to be rich and sober at 90 and nobody remember who I was.
But your friends will remember you. That's the point.
None of us were friends with Charlie Parker. That's the point.
Travis and Dustin, they have plenty of friends and plenty of purpose.
I'm sure they'll make great school board presidents someday.
Oh, that's what this is all about? You think you're better than us?
Mark, I'm not speaking in code.
Erica.
You're obsessed with finals clubs.
There's a difference between being obsessed and being motivated.
Yes.
I'm just saying I need to do something substantial in order to get the attention of the clubs.
Why?
Because they're exclusive and fun, and they lead to a better life. Try to be straightforward with you and tell you that I think you might want to be a little more supportive. If I get in, I will be taking you to the events and the gatherings, and you'll be meeting a lot of people you wouldn't normally get to meet.
You would do that for me?
We're dating.
Okay. Well, I want to try and be straightforward with you and let you know that we're not anymore.
Of course I apologize.
I have to go study.
You don't have to study.
Why do you keep saying I don't have to study?
Because you go to BU.
I am sorry you are not sufficiently impressed with my education. I think we should just be friends.
I don't want friends.
I was just being polite. I have no intention of being friends with you because you're an asshole.
You're not an asshole, Mark. You're just trying so hard to be.